Welcome back to the Splitting Hairs podcast presented by Jackrabbit Illustrated. The A team in the house tonight. So we have Chad, and we finally have the return of Dallas. Woo!
I'm back. I'm so happy to be here. Oh my goodness, it's been a long time. I grabbed my notebook to start making notes, and I had 3 pages of Iowa. And that was it. And I felt so sad.
You've been on since then, haven't you?
I don't know. I might have been, but that was the most recent effort I put in, I guess.
All right. Uncle Brian, good to see you, man. You always tune in. I appreciate it. All right. So here we go. Jack's coming off a huge Hobo Day victory, 49-7. Indiana State didn't put up as much of a fight as we thought they might. Both Chad and I were a little high in our predictions, but that's all right. Happy to get the win. Happy to get the 8th win. We'll talk about that a little bit here coming up. And man, what a good day. It was just so good seeing so many of you, connecting with you. Beautiful weather, beautiful game. But before we get into all that, we have to thank our sponsors, Cottonwood Coffee of Brookings and Drake's Place of Bowdle. Cottonwood again, a bunch of you tagged me in stuff stopping in. I stopped in before I hit tailgating, got some coffee really quick, just needed a little quick pick me up. And again, it just reminded me of how great that place is and how fortunate Brookings is to have it. If you can't stop in, though, they ship worldwide, or ship in the U.S. probably. And you can use the Jackrabbit Illustrated discount code JI22 for 10% off your order. Some exclusions apply. And then Drake's Place, again, the Drake family out in Bowdle. I'm sure some of you might be heading out west to some hunting this fall yet, maybe traveling for sports, whatever it may be. Be sure to stop into Drake's. Really appreciate their support, the delicious food and drink that they have. Fill up on fuel while you're there, all the good stuff. So thank you, Drake's. Thank you, Cottonwood, for your continued support. We really appreciate it. And with that, let's get into Hobo Day.
Let's talk about the atmosphere, shall we?
Yeah, let's start there. Yeah. So Chad, you start. The people read what I thought in Ransom.
Yeah, hey, the library lot was slam packed full. There wasn't a single open space to park in. Man, that is the tailgating we've been looking for a while. It's coming together, guys. We need more people every game like this. It was a great atmosphere. Those that aren't able to come but do 2 or 3 games a year and maybe you're questioning a couple times, next year we need you there for those that you're questioning. They're running sales. It's a great time. Where can you go for $20, $22, and then they have the flash sales so you can get even better deal, get 3-4 hours of entertainment.
So Chad, tell me though, outside of just numbers, what made, I've heard both you guys talk about it, texted about it, read some posts and things, but what actually made the atmosphere that much better? What I don't know, can you provide any more color on that?
Well, I guess, it's kind of like some of the intangibles, Dallas. When you go to an away game and there's that big game feel and everybody's excited and there's people everywhere, everybody's happy, sporting gear, a lot of camaraderie. The Ears Up beer was a good addition,
So cool.
It is very cool. We're proud of this thing too. I don't know. It's more of an intangible thing to me other than just the numbers, right? The numbers make that though a little bit. Everybody was there early. And after the parade got over, man, it was just great. A ton of people, but not like too many that it was uncomfortable, but yeah.
That's cool. I think the fan base in general is still just learning in masses, learning how to do that, right?
Right, because they probably haven't went to the away games like some of us have, and
I will. Hold on, sorry, Matt. So I have nothing to add to this because I was not there. I had something more important to do. My daughter ran in the MIAC conference meet and qualified for regionals, so super proud of her there. And I'm going to brag about me for a minute. I'm pretty sure I was the first person to ever tailgate a women's Division III cross country meet, and I did it, and I had so much fun. The weather was great, and then I got back in time to watch the game.
Hey, perfect.
I mean, if
That's
you're
awesome.
the first guy to do that, it's a shame for all those that came before you, right?
Yeah, right?
Trendsetter.
Hey, someone has to start it. Yeah, exactly. So Dallas, congratulations to your family on that. That's awesome. So for me to answer that question, I think folks, like you said, are starting to figure it out. You know, I got there, as I wrote, at 10:45, and I knew I had to hook up with Chad, meet over at their spot because he had my beer. He had the ears up for me. So I had to get over there, wanted to see them. And
Yeah,
as I
speaking
was
of what,
crossing,
you still haven't hit me on Venmo.
yeah, I did, didn't I?
Maybe
I
you
sent
did,
it.
and I didn't look.
Okay, I sent it like 45 minutes. Unless it's the
I was
wrong
just
Chad.
trying to give you a hard time.
No.
Probably haven't looked.
Shoot. And so I walked across the west side parking lot there, and there was tons of folks set up already. There's smokers, their grills going. Everyone had music pumping, playing catch. Get over to the library lot, and there's people everywhere. And the cool part about that library lot, and even in the backyard now, so many of the folks have named their spot, whether it's the Jackie Lentz Grill or the Jackie Lentz group, or the hairball over in the backyard, or the jacked up, whatever it is. It's just everyone's kind of have this theme. You kind of start to recognize a lot of the same faces. The Jackie Lentz group, one of the guys was on KDLT with Borg, and they had shirts with his face printed on it. So they were all wearing these bright yellow shirts with the guy's face on it. So that was awesome to see and just kind of cool. So between the music, the smells, the laughter, the ears up beer, the number of folks, like it just felt like a huge, awesome tailgating atmosphere. And it's Hobo Day. Everyone's in a good mood on Hobo Day until the game starts usually. So
yeah. Well, at least this year we didn't play UNI, but
yeah,
next year.
Yeah. Hey, how do you have a 2-game winning streak against the school though? You have to beat them the first time, which will be this year, and then you beat them next year on Hobo Day.
True.
And that starts the 2-game winning streak there. So, yeah, we'll get into UNI a little bit later.
Yep.
So Chad and Dallas, you had to watch the game. So sometimes watching the game, it's a little easier to tell what's actually happening. Chad, you did a quick rewatch. What are your guys, Dallas? We'll start with you because you're new here again. What's your initial impression of yesterday's game? What stood out to you?
Getting reacclimated here. I tweeted it out. The offense, just getting to watch them and get the feeling they could do whatever that they wanted to do. Spread the ball around. Everybody, it was almost what is Stig called communist offense. It wasn't exactly how he refers to it, but in the fact that just everybody got a piece of the ball. We got to see just a taste of, what Isaiah was going to do coming back. Sat him down early. That was great. Mark looked all world because he is. My goodness, 22 of 28. I mean, almost perfect again. Mm-hmm. That's amazing, and I don't know how you call it underappreciated, but I feel like almost we're not appreciating how god dang good this kid is. Mm-hmm. Watching him play, spreading it around, watching no one be able to tackle a Yankee. Like we need to make like a tutorial of how to tackle Yankees, or maybe not. Maybe we don't want anybody to know, but it's just so hard to bring down. And then Kraft looking like a complete freak of nature a couple of times with what he could do, and yeah, just seeing it spread around. So that was cool. Another thing I might want to get into later is appreciating Coach Lujan and the play calling, because I know we've texted about this and talked a little bit, but I don't know has anybody talked about play calling this year? Like I don't feel like it's been it doesn't get brought up, and really. To me, like for an OC, that's almost like an official. If you're doing a great job, nobody talks about you, and it's that sort of thing with Lujan right now. Obviously, in the defense dialed up, but. I mean, in general, I think that's my biggest takeaway, though. Back to the offense, though, is just seeing the ball spread around, seeing everybody get a touch, and letting them kind of test out and just do what they wanted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hold on, is that a legit old-fashioned?
That is a legit old-fashioned.
Oh, my God, I'm jealous. You even have the giant cube. For those of you listening here after the fact, Chad's got a legit highball glass. He's got, I assume, muddled bitters. We've got the giant sphere ice cube.
Ice cube, yes.
And the orange peel on
yes.
top. Great job, bravo.
It's perfect.
And
My wife makes a good old fashioned for me.
Did you know how smooth that is? Do you see it get handed in right behind him, and like it just comes off screen into
it
the
actually
picture?
Got brought up at tailgating. One of the guys like, so what's that in your glass? And I'm like, oh, which glass? And he's like, the clear glass. I'm like, oh, that's an old fashioned. And he's like, that's a legit big boy drink. I'm like, oh yeah, I like whiskey. Yeah. I mean, the play calling's been great. Yep. I'd like to applaud it outside of too many swing passes and tunnel screens. That's the only thing I ever comment on. That's my opinion. That does not reflect the opinions of the podcast. But we had a tunnel screen that went okay. But if the guy tackles our guy, we get blown up. But I do want to point out that as a positive, we went for it with a minute on the clock going, we've never done that. Maybe not never, but that's not our MO when we're up that high. I love the aggressiveness there. That was excellent. And then we had that 4th and 1, and we went for it there. That was in the third quarter. We went for it there, and Tucker snuck it. And, that's how we got our last touchdown. Play calling's been great. I mean, I guess I'll let a swing pass too many or tunnel screen too many go.
I would love to see a breakdown on the I don't know, we don't call it Wildcat, do we? Whatever we call it again, on the shift where no one decided to touch the running back on 3 consecutive carries.
Yeah,
right. They weren't consecutive, but the 3 times they ran it, no one got touched. And I want to know what we saw in that defense schematically when we called that, because they perfect play calls every time.
Yeah. I love that Isaiah fake pitches it to Mark, or faked it on 1 for sure. I love that. I want to go back to this. Where was there? Ben Leake says, I'm a senior in the Pride of the Dakotas. Everyone in the band was super hyped for this game all week. And Ben, I want to say thank you, because the Pride is huge this year and has been awesome. We love the Pride. Yeah.
We cheer you guys every time you come off the field at the beginning of the game. That's us idiots screaming at you over in the north corner.
And going back a bajillion years, we used to talk about this as players, that I don't know how many college football teams appreciate their band, but I know that we did and actively spoke about it. So thanks for doing what you do, man. You put the hours in too.
Yeah, and good luck at Macy's. That's so cool for your guys' program. So
and they got $50,000 from the Department of Tourism at the game, so that was pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah, they had an announcement.
Cool.
Governor Noem was there for that, I guess. So
cool. Congrats. All right. So another thing that we brought up was Tucker Kraft. And I did find it humorous, that Indiana State, their linebacker, Adeltree or whatever his name was, said they had a great plan in place. Like the last couple of weeks, they've eliminated what the opponent wanted to do. And so they felt like they had a great plan to eliminate the tight ends from SDSU's offense. And
we have 3 of them. Do they know we have 3 of them?
Yeah, right. And that was early and often those 3 were involved. And I, for one, super happy Mike Morgan got a touchdown. Yeah. That guy, I just love him. He got a carry last week, which I just think is legendary. If he could have housed it, that would have been even better.
Did you see how excited the rest of the team got when he scored? Right. You could just see the joy in everybody's face. God, that was cool.
Yeah. And that speaks to the family and the cohesiveness of this team that we keep hearing about, right? So that's pretty cool. It's pretty special when a guy like that everybody on the team knows is putting in all the work but not getting all the credit, gets a chance to shine a little bit.
Yep. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth, says Rick Jensen. Excellent. Yeah. Jordan Fink, a great point on the offensive efficiency. Gronowski, Cheapers, looks healthier and healthier. Seriously looking like an elite quarterback. And Stig mentioned this on the post game, I believe, with Merriam, if not in the press conference, just that the game right now looks so slow for Mark. And I think Tom Neiman might have talked about it a little bit too, just that the game is just, he's slowing down. The one play where the pass rusher was free off the edge, right on his blind side, Mark finally saw him right at the end, evaded him, and then made the smart play and just tossed the ball out of bounds. That's a veteran move. And he's still a guy that has started less than 20 games, right? Right around that number.
Right around that number, yeah.
And he made it look so effortless. I mean, gosh, I don't know. I don't know. He looks great right now. I'm loving it.
22 of 28 for 233, 3 touchdowns by air and 1 rushing. Yeah. I mean, that's a guy you want on your team, right? I mean,
yeah.
Even just stats wise, he's excellent. And then he has the intangibles, the little, the fakes and that. He's great. What do you think, Dallas?
I feel like you guys have talked about that a few times. There's one of the two pods did in the last few weeks, but his play fakes, like, I frequently get confused as to who has the ball. The cameraman frequently gets confused where the ball is at. Like, there's something more to how he does that. It seems like a simple thing, but it's not, right? It's not just going through emotion. There's something about his body language, the energy, just the flow of it that just does very, very well and causes confusion and headaches there. And I forget, you rattled off his stats there, but on top of that, I don't know if you mentioned, again, 0 picks, no sacks,
yep.
Like, just doesn't do any of the things that hurt the team. There's very solid productive numbers, but then nothing negative also. And I mean, God, what a leader and what a productive, great quarterback we're watching right now.
Yeah, and that's kind of what Matt was talking about, where he maybe would get that sack and he throws the ball away. And that's what we were wanting for years and years from our previous quarterbacks, that sometimes they just wouldn't. Like, Taryn seemed to hold on to the ball just a little too much. And, there were times if you just throw it away, I mean, it wouldn't be such a negative play. It'd just be back to the line of scrimmage. So other quarterbacks as well. It's just the one that sticks in my mind. I'm not picking on him. He was a great quarterback, obviously.
Yep. On this, so Jim Poppin here brings up a great point. Keeping the gas pedal pushed down and not letting up is a plus this year. Don't need to run the score up, but need to stay aggressive. So, Dallas, as a player and someone that's been on the field, what does that feel like? If when you're going to get a big win like this, being aggressive but not letting up, like, how do you find that balance of self-preservation in a way too? Like,
yep.
Yeah.
So let's see. Getting into it, it's a great feeling, and I didn't play. Obviously no one's played on a team like this, right? Like, we're kind of in uncharted waters here, but
sure.
When you've got a big lead, when you get to, it feels good starting to sit people going into the fourth quarter. Like, that feels great. There's no letdown feeling there. Like, that is a celebratory thing because you get excited for everybody to get reps, for the younger guys to get reps. And yeah, I think that's it. Now, there's always this weird balance, too, of the lines because, you sit skill guys first, and typically you kind of keep the lines in, at least on offense. And we sat the O-line pretty quick this last game. I forget exactly when it was, but I was very surprised how quickly we sat our O-line down. And I thought it was great getting the next set of guys some reps because, every year I feel like that's been kind of something going into the season where we've got great starters, but we've got some untested guys behind them. So getting some more reps in there is great. But again, I think it's mostly just feeling happy that you're in a good spot, the game is under control, and everybody else gets to see some action.
Yeah. What about, so I'm just going to ask here because I think we have to talk about it eventually. Yep. Isaiah Stallbird being in the game fairly late and getting called for targeting there. I mean, that's a risk too in today's game. I mean,
that really needs to change.
It really does. It does. It needs to be like a face mask. And again, you can say it's more dangerous and whatever, but that's my take. I understand that we had to change the game. I've got a son that plays that's going into high school next year. I get it. Back in the days when you'd knock somebody out and think it was the best thing ever, like that can't happen anymore. That's barbaric and stupid. So I understand, but making a guy miss for playing a hard, aggressive football play, sitting out and missing part of next game, that is garbage. Yeah. And I'm not going to debate the way the rule is written. Fine, let it be written however it is, but stop it. Stop making them sit down. Yeah. But back to this game though. I don't know. Matt, you're the one that knows all the players inside and out, so I don't know what the depth is like behind those guys because we're darn near starting guys that we didn't think we'd see the field time.
So that's the position where we can't lose another guy.
Oh, yeah.
It's Caleb Franzel was the starter at that position at the start of the year. Dayton McGoy has played that position, and now Stallburd's playing that position. And, Peyton Schaefer can play all three. He's ultra talented there, so I'd expect that to happen. So you'd have a lineup then of Jason Freeman, Savion Williamson in the middle, and then Peyton filling in for Isaiah for a half. That wouldn't shock me. It just stinks right now. Our three fastest linebackers in a game that we could definitely use them, Adam Bach, Isaiah Stallbird, Dayton McGoy, are, all out or out for the first half at least. So
if Adam Bach's in this game, I don't think they get 100 yards rushing.
Well,
honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, that just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It's so quick.
I am so happy to see Savion play.
Yeah.
Just because I'm in Mankato. He's a Wasika guy. Just, seeing a guy put the time in, being to me, a local kid, very cool, very happy to see him out there and take advantage of it, right? I mean, all these guys that have stepped in have absolutely stepped up and done what they needed to do. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to take away from the players that are playing now by any means. Bach's just got that extra step of quickness, and
he's an All-American.
Right? Yeah. I mean, those guys are real close. Right?
You start for a reason.
Yeah. Well, I wish I wrote this in Rants and Raves, and I wish on the review for targeting that there could be some type of line, like
kind of like that personal foul in basketball, like flagrant 1, flagrant 2.
Yeah, right, exactly right. Because Isaiah's hit, it's a hard football hit. He put his helmet into the guy's chest, and his head got hurt when he slammed it on the back of the ground. That's.
I want to know what the definition of launching is, because if I'm trying to tackle you in some fashion, I'm launching at you, aren't I?
Yeah. Yeah. And last week everyone said, with Graham Spalding, is that he never wrapped up. Isaiah wrapped up. It was perfect, So
the problem was he caught this part of his hat above his face mask, which is also crown of the helmet. But when the average Joe thinks crown of the helmet, we're thinking here, not here.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, it just
wasn't
tough.
Head contact.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I would just like to see a scale of, if they're going to keep targeting, a targeting 1 and a targeting 2 or something like that. I don't know. Maybe that even complicates it more.
Let's not do that. No one gets it the way it is.
Yeah, right. Ugh.
I don't want to let this comment go.
Sure.
Because the Stash brothers are making it happen. Yeah. How many people caught Mark Gronowski's video after the game?
Glorious
awesome stash. Now his mom told me he's a little bit afraid his girlfriend's going to shave it off while he sleeps. Maybe I shouldn't say that out. Sorry, Deb, for sharing that. But I think he should keep it. That was the point. I think he should keep it. It looks amazing.
Yeah. Gosh.
It's a rally stash now. You got to keep that.
Yeah, you got to keep it, bud.
How many weeks is Bach going to be out? So it sounded like before this game 4 to 6, so 3 to 5, I would say now, Scott. So,
and they did on the TV broadcast. They did say likely 6, as they were showing him through the window, looking like he basically. The scene looked like he was laid up in a hospital bed. I know that wasn't the case, but it looked really dramatic through the window.
Funny. Chase, we don't have to state the obvious thing.
Yeah, Jace, they should have traded Rodgers. Gosh.
That's a different podcast.
Gosh, look at this. Dallas comes back and just gets all the love.
What's up, Kip?
People were tired of me talking, obviously.
Yeah.
Kip's little brother was my quarterback in high school.
Hey, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
How do you say that last name?
Wackel.
Wackel.
Yep, he played. He was at He played at SDSU. His brother played some college ball. Fantastic athletes.
Yep. We do have to mention something sad here, and it's Indiana State converting on a damn fake punt.
Oh my goodness!
More special teams stuff. I just don't know what to do at this point with special teams.
The guy that was sealing on the edge ran the other way, so they saw the stunt that we tend to run, and
Yep.
and used it to just beat us.
Yeah.
And man, yeah, it's frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah. I just at this point I just don't know. Well, with punt return, especially like if or punt coverage, any special teams right now feels like it could be a boom or bust on any play. And going into the playoffs, that concerns me when special teams really matters and can decide games. We have to clean it up. We
need
to.
some consistency there, don't we?
Yeah.
And consistency can't be bad consistently.
So this is changing topics a little bit, but I feel like you missed a rant, or at least what mine would have been.
Okay.
Just in general, the fourth down conversions weren't costly, but God, it was annoying.
Yeah.
And I think part of it too is I remember back as, when you're on the field, to me as a defensive player, there's nothing worse than a fourth down conversion because you get conditioned to, hey, I did my job on third down, we're done, yay. And they go for it on fourth and convert. And at least this is just to me, it was such a dagger. I hated that feeling. Like, God dang it, we got to start over now again. Yep. And what did we give up? 6 of them? 5? What? It was a bunch, whatever it was. It felt like it, wasn't it?
I think it was 4.
4? I thought it was 5. Was it 5 including the whatever?
Yeah,
they were better on fourth down conversion than third down conversions. All I know, and like you said, it was terrible.
And again, it's a team, and I am so nitpicking here because you're playing a team with literally nothing to lose. So of course they're going to just go for it on fourth because why the hell not?
Yeah.
But still, if I had to find one thing that I know would have driven me nuts, that would have been it.
Yeah. And shoot, never mind. Gosh, what I was going to say, completely lost it. No, the fourth downs drove me quite crazy too. But in a normal game, our team's going to take that risk. Like maybe, I guess.
Not 4 or 5 of them or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I think it was 4. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say only when they're in the position that team was, right? Like when you're down like that far.
Yeah.
But now when we transition here to talk about this next week, you have another team with nothing to lose for a different reason. They don't have nothing to lose. They have everything to gain.
Everything to gain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe we should get into game balls presented by Dakota Iron.
Ooh, Dakota Iron.
Yeah,
let's make that transition. Dakota Iron here in Sioux Falls, place to get your heavy equipment. That could be anything from a combine to a skid steer. They provided most of the equipment for the recent upgrades on campus. Dakota Iron's your one stop. Contact John.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
What was that noise?
Someone's phone, but not mine.
Mine.
Hey, welcome back, Dallas. I bring a little of the B team flavor.
Everything, the wheels have fallen off.
I love it. So if I need just some,
we got former players calling me out too. Like Mitch Fargen's like, yeah, get Chad off there.
Oh, I love it. God, Mitch is a good dude. And world traveler. My God, do you see the pictures?
Been all over the place.
He's always in some random weird place.
Yeah.
That's the guy everybody knows is Mitch Fargen.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yes.
Great dudes. So just in closing here, if I need some sort of major piece of equipment, where do I go again?
Dakota Iron.
Oh, gotcha.
Sioux Falls, South Dakota, West 12th Street.
Should do that.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah. No train, Jim. Definitely. All right. So my offensive game ball went to Mark Ganowski. We talked about him already. Again, just phenomenal. Just his leadership, his poise in the pocket, his decision making, and then the stats. There's nothing to sneeze at. It was stats like that. The way he's distributing the ball to all those weapons. The stash too.
Oh.
Yeah.
The stats.
Yeah.
Oh,
sorry. Stats and stash. Yeah.
Dallas, who you got?
I got to go with Mark. There's no. Again, those numbers are absurd. Spread the ball around evenly. Played his second almost perfect game in a row.
So, I mean, that's obvious pick, you guys, and you're not wrong by any means.
Please pick somebody else. Try.
I'm picking someone else.
Good.
I am. No, that's the whole point of this discussion. I kind of was tempted to give it to Landon Wolf because he got a couple catches. It's good to see that guy back out there.
So happy to see him back.
So happy to see that guy back out there. But the other guy we were talking about, and you brought it up earlier, and the guy who I'm giving my game ball to, Mike Morgan. That guy's such a stud. It's great to see him get a tutty. Couldn't be happier.
Yeah.
Why don't we move over to defense? Dallas, who you got?
I'm going to go with Freeman.
Yeah.
10 tackles. I know you went a different way. I mean, you could have gone a few different ways, Matt, but
Yeah.
I got to go with Freeman, and I will give about the biggest compliment, or just in at least to me, this would be the biggest compliment. My son plays linebacker, and if I could pick anyone to say, Hudson, play like that, that's who I want him to play like. Reckless abandon, chopping dudes down, the way that he just finds a crease. He just the way that he flows with the play, finds a crease, and his acceleration between his the point where he plants and commits to the ball carrier, like he basically just teleports. He's so quick, and it's so fun to watch, and I love it. Jason
That's
Freeman.
awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, and Matt, who'd you have?
Yeah, I went with Schaefer and Savion.
Yep.
I just like the way they filled in the first half this week. They're gonna have to fill in again next week. It's just so impressive. I mean, I've seen it since I started Jackrabbit Illustrated. Seniors who don't play a lot, who check out, and it's not their fault that they haven't. I mean, it's just injury. It's injury, and they have a very talented room. Not to say that they're not talented, but at this point, they hadn't played meaningful snaps, a ton of meaningful snaps in base defense. They just hadn't. And they have been phenomenal the last 2 weeks when the team has needed them the most. And I just have a ton of respect for those guys for being able to focus, whether it's in meetings, in practice, and keep their bodies right so that they can contribute when they're called upon. So that's why they get my game balls there.
Nice.
And to be the antagonist here, I got to go a different way, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
I got a question to answer. Jordan Fink, what's my whiskey of choice? Well, mostly bourbons. Wearing the Tennessee shirt today. There's a lot. I do believe that this was a single barrel from JJ's of Buffalo Trace that my wife brought me. It was either that or Sazerac. Just by the taste, I know that. Anyway, no, it's got a spice to it, man. I don't know how to explain that different. My game balls getting back on topic. I wanted to go Freeman like you, Dallas. Just like Matt's rants and raves, I thought those were great picks too. But I think I'm going to go Dallas Beanham because that kid has a nose for the football, and all he does is make plays and catch interceptions. I love it. So he gets my game ball.
Heck yeah. Junior, right? Sophomore or junior?
I mean, he's technically. I mean, he's a junior listed on the roster, but he has 3 years left, I believe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was gonna say I had him as a junior off the roster.
Two years left. 2 years left. Yeah, I believe so. Man. Yes. Yep.
I'm a bit concerned. He might take my dad's interception records. If anybody did, he's a ball hawk, especially getting an extra year. So I'll petition to make sure we put an asterisk next to it. Just kidding. I'm joking. But he's fantastic.
He's Dallas Club. Dallas Club feud, man.
So I'll start us off with special teams. I think the 49-yard punt return by Jackson earns him my game ball. That was a heady play. Yep. A little bit risky, but I love the aggressiveness. That's, me. If you've been around me at a football game or listened to my ranting, I'd be an aggressive coach. So, Matt, who you got?
Yep, same. That was a great play. Ball bone straight to him, made a play. So.
Yeah, it was. Same. I will say this isn't. I don't know if this is an old man stay off my lawn take, because even as a player, I hated when a return specialist would let the ball bounce around near them and then grab it in traffic. Drove me at 20 years old. It just drove me insane. I think because I couldn't imagine doing that myself, maybe, but I know that I would just bobble it and turn it over. But yeah, it was a great play. That was awesome.
Yeah,
you can't get enough of those. It harkens back to the guy who could not be stopped and caught anything and ran it back. Right, your buddy. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Hey, so one last thing on this that we just need to talk about and not take it for granted is that the Jacks reached 8 counter wins yesterday, and no Missouri Valley team has ever missed the playoffs after winning 8 games. So yesterday's win likely secures the 11th straight playoff appearance for this program.
Wow.
And that's pretty phenomenal. And there's tons of schools around the country that would kill to make the FCS playoffs. And we've done it now 11 straight years. I believe besides NDSU, James Madison had a similar length a streak as us. They're gone now, so we are in sole possession of that second longest streak of playoff run, and that's just cool. Like that's something that we need to be proud of. We cannot take it for granted, but we also don't want to settle on it. There's more out there this year. I think we all know that, and this is a segue here. And I know Mark in the post game complained about the media talking about a letdown game, a trap game, something like that. And I get it, man. We don't want to talk about it either. It drives us bonkers. But that's our job. We got to talk.
And we've been here and we've suffered through it, right? Like you've been here 2 years, dude. We love that you've been here for 2 years. You haven't been here as long as us. I don't have to be a Vikings fan because I'm a Jackrabbit fan. All right.
I had that exact same thought, and with all due respect, I had this like, okay, I've been doing this since you were like 3. So I mean, any sport, right? Every team is different. Last year's team has little to do with the previous year's team. You mentioned the Vikings, which is a great take. As a Minnesotan, I'm used to what happens to Minnesota sports teams, right? Is that logical at all? Hell no. Those things have nothing to do with each other, but just somehow you get conditioned, and that's what's fun about sports, and it's something to gripe about and get excited. And so anyway, I get his point of view is like, shut the hell up, we're us, let us do our thing, which is great. I love that out of a leader.
Yeah. No,
but we can't have a letdown next week, right?
he can.
We can't have a letdown. We can't have our typical letdown.
Yeah, he can keep telling us that. I appreciate that. I appreciate his mindset.
Same. Love it. Yeah. Absolutely love it.
I do too.
Right,
I love it.
Chad, we've gotten asked 3 times for your thoughts on Ears Up. We need to answer Josh's question.
It tastes like beer. I
want more than I haven't had it either. I would like more than that. Come on.
It's a beer that tastes like, if you just imagined what beer tastes like, just like when you were a kid and you smelt the old cans, and not in a bad way. It's got a sweet corn kind of flavor. It's like the Big Friendly Grain Belt Premium. They call it a premium beer. They told me it's made with a Kolsch yeast, so it's got that sweetness, kind of that grainy, I called it corn, but that grainy flavor. It's a real good, real easy drinkable beer.
Nice.
5%. It's not going to get you drunk if you're a man. Unless you drink a bunch of them. So, it's an easy drink-in beer you can have out on the lawnmower. It's great. And if you want my personal thoughts on it versus some of, for instance, other beers, I'm pretty sure it's a similar grain bill to the one they call Wedge, which is their golf beer that they add some fruit to. It's a real tasty beer as well and very drinkable, just like this. So is that more than it tastes like
good.
beer?
It is. That's exact. Kolsch and Grain Belt. Those 2 things told me what it tastes like. Thank you. And the cans, I'm assuming those are they pints?
These are powders.
Only selling pints. Very nice.
I liked it.
It's real good.
I like craft beer too, and Chad's right. It's very drinkable, and you can drink more than one too, like pretty easily. So yeah, it's a good beer. So
I mean, I've drank one on this podcast. We're not even halfway through.
That a boy. Oh man. So Ron Lowney, I don't know. Ron, man. UND's ranked right now. They probably won't be by the end of the season. Who knows?
Big Sky's beating up on themselves too, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
so it's
Idaho lost. So
yeah. Ron asked, who would our good wins be if outside of NDSU? And really, Cal, not Cal Poly, UC Davis is ranked now too. Yeah. UND's 24th. Cal Davis is 25th. So, top 25 wins. What do you do though? You play the teams in front of you. That's what you do.
Unfortunately, the SoCon's going to get one more team than they deserve. So take that.
Yeah. Butler is having a good season in the Pioneer for what that's worth. 6-2. So yeah.
All right. I mean, you look at just strength of schedule. We're top 10, aren't we?
Well, I mean, we are. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we don't play a garbage schedule. So
no. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's talk about UNI. And UNI, as usual, when we play them, is playing for their playoff lives. If they win out, they'll be in. If They lose one, they're out essentially. So we're going to get their best shot. They're coming off of just a wild game against Southern Illinois. Not sure how many of you caught it or caught the tail end or even saw the highlights. It was kind of overshadowed by some of the bigger games or the other games happening around the country. But they won 37-36. And the ending of this game was just wild. I was able to catch the end of it. And at the end, Southern Illinois had it about the 40, 45-yard line, attempted a Hail Mary. UNI's defensive end lined up off sides, threw the flag right away. And the pass was intercepted by UNI in the end zone. So they moved it 5 yards further forward. They got a second crack at it. Baker got tons of time to dance around, threw it up, caught at the 1 yard line, maybe at the 3 yard line. And the guy got tackled at like the half yard line is where they marked the ball down. Game over. Insane ending to it. So UNI is coming off of a game where they just played a full game. And their offense is on fire right now. They're running the ball well. They're passing the ball well. Theo Day, who was a 3 or 4 star recruit to Michigan State, is their quarterback, 6'5", big dude. He looks great right now. He looks like a 4-star recruit probably.
Lit us up last year.
Yeah. Last week he had, against Southern Illinois, he had 330 yards and 5 touchdowns, went 27 for 32. And we know Southern Illinois' pass defense isn't great. I mean, they made Bauman from USD look like a future Hall of Famer, and we saw how he looked against Youngstown this week. But he's a good player, and he has a ton of weapons to throw to on the outside. We can get into that a little bit. Chad, do you want to talk a little bit about Dom Williams? I know you were looking up some stuff on him a little bit.
Yeah, Dom Williams is their go-to guy when it comes to running the ball. And, against Missouri State, that guy had 4 touchdowns.
Yep. And
that's a record down there. 4 touchdowns, pretty ridiculous. The guy, let's see, what's his averages here? He's got 5.8 per carry, 9 touchdowns this year. And again, four touchdowns in a single game. That's a pretty fat stat to steal Sean's line.
Thanks, Sean. Yeah, and then they have a change of pace back, McShane, that is just really exciting with the ball in his hands. Vance McShane, it's his brother Deion still is on this roster, plays wide receiver, and Vance is averaging 5.3 a carry. And again, just a speedster. Really, they're going to do some.
And he doesn't quite have the touchdowns, but 5.3 is pretty solid, even if he only got 1 touchdown.
Well, anytime you got a solid quarterback and a 1-2 punch at running back, you're going to win a bunch of games, and you're going to be dangerous.
Yep. And on the outside, gone is Isaiah Weston, who still gives me nightmares. And last year,
I was super fast.
Yeah, you'll remember the Hobo Day game. They just basically threw it up to him, play after play after play after play after play, and that's how we lost. But they have a much more balanced attack. Sam Schnee, who's been on the roster for a long time, has kind of emerged this year as a playmaker. He's averaging 15.5 per reception, 2 touchdowns, long as 70. We mentioned Deion McShane, 29 receptions. Sergio Morency has stepped up. Alex Allen has been a nice tight end for them, reliable, 17 for 264. So again, a 15-yard average. And then Logan Wolf. So this is something I'm just now noticing looking at this, guys. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh, they really
their first
the
5
ball
receivers.
Right.
Their first 5 receivers all average more than 15 yards per reception. And then you have Quan Hampton, who gave us fits in the spring season, the transfer from Kansas, who's a fun little player, if you remember that. So they have 6 wide receivers that, 5 wide receivers and a great tight end that we're going to have to match up with in the passing game. So that's going to be something to watch. That's exciting. And a big offensive line like UNI always has. So, yeah.
Are they wasty? I didn't get a chance. I didn't give the eyeball test on film.
I don't think when you're a big dude, you're wasty. Unless you're talking about that I have extra waist compared to most people.
Hey,
then I'm a bit extra wasty.
I think Indiana State was a little wasty.
Oh, they were fat.
Somebody said it.
Oh, man, they were big.
Somebody said it in the comments that, their offensive line really wasn't that bad. And you and I talked about it before the podcast, Matt. They actually did a pretty good job
Yep.
All things considered, because we got a hell of a defensive line, and we got one sack, and that was what, Quentin coming around on the right side there.
Yep.
I was
Which was a
actually
great play, by the way, and I'm glad to see Q back in there getting that sack.
Yeah, he actually was my number 2 player of the game. Just getting on 3 tackles, having a TFL and a sack, and just seeing him. He had a fairly dominant looking game, even when he wasn't in the stat sheet. But it's back to the wide receivers though. Quick, I've seen parts of 2 games is all I've watched of UNI. I intended to try to check out a little more, but it is a little bit concerning seeing how well they spread the ball around like that. That's always worrisome, because it's you look at the yardage and the number of receptions, and it trails off fairly evenly once you get down to like 6 or 7 receivers. But then also you look in the red zone, and the touchdowns are pretty even. It's like 2, 2, 3, 2, 4 as you go down the list. So I mean, those guys know how to catch the ball and know how to score.
Yeah. And then we haven't even mentioned this guy, but he was Valley Newcomer of the Week this week. Desmond Hudson. He is a big wide receiver, and he's a transfer from Iowa. Of course, they get so many players from Iowa. So
known for their offense.
Yeah, 2019 he came in from Iowa. Just a big dude. That's funny.
Hey, they scored points this week, didn't they?
I saw a stat. There's only 3 games this year where an FBS team hasn't scored a touchdown, and they have 2 of them.
Oof. I don't even know what to say to that.
Sorry. Took it off the rails. I'll ride on Iowa.
So we'll see. I need to watch some more UNI. I've watched them in bits and pieces. I watched them against Indiana State, 5 weeks ago, and Indiana State really made them look ordinary. And we saw how poor Indiana State's offense is. But again, that was 5 weeks ago. And it feels like UNI has figured something out on offense and is really clicking at the right time here. So we'll see.
That and Farley always finds a way to give us fits, right? Just like always.
Yeah.
I mean, just in general, I mean, the yards they're putting up well over 400 a game. I mean, that you got to pay attention to that. I mean, they're moving the ball more than we have so far.
Yep. And we'll see. I'm glad you brought up Farley, and we'll see if he can get a third mortgage on his soul, to make the playoffs again. So, yeah, we'll see about that.
Skeletor's got his magic.
Yeah. So let's flip over and talk about their defense a little bit. Defensively, this is not the usual UNI Panther defense that we see. They have struggled this year against the run and against the pass. They're just aren't the defense that we've seen before. I mean, Nick Baker was Valley Player of the Week and just passed for 485 yards against them last week. And that's been a theme this year. Teams are passing the ball at will against UNI. So we will see what happens here. Their defensive line, Christian Boyd, is still there, and he's listed as a junior. I just can't believe that. Their big defensive tackle, 99. Feels like he's been there 1,000 years. Spencer Cuvalier is still there. Bryce Flater is still there at linebacker. Those two are, been Valley selections in the past. Minnesota transfer Benny Sapp at safety. Javon Breck is still at safety. And then a couple interesting players at corner. Stephon Black, who we recruited out of Kansas City, originally committed to Air Force. Really a nice player. Had a chance to end the game against Southern Illinois and had an interception go through his hands. And then this guy's a fun name, Woo Governor. So Woo Governor is the corner opposite him, and a transfer, I believe, from Central Michigan. So something to watch there is those two. So yeah,
you know what that screams to me. A, we could win with our offense. And B, the game will be decided by our special teams play.
Yeah, yep.
That's how I see that.
All right, that's an interesting take. I think we run for 1 billion yards.
Okay.
I do. You look at, they're giving up, close to 200 yards a game rushing, I think. It was 180 or something like that.
Yeah.
It was a decent chunk. I don't think it's going to be, we might be tied at halftime, and I think we grind them down. I think Mason continues to have the season he's having. Lee texted me here. I did not see it. Apparently, Mason McCormick changed a play on the goal line or in the red zone. And I don't know that in the history of football that an offensive lineman has changed a play, but I got to go back and watch that.
So he called an audible from the
I
right guard?
don't know, but that's absolutely fantastic if he did. So I got to go back and watch that. But I mean, dude, he's playing at the highest caliber level. I mean, the whole line has stepped up. I mean, Gus is playing great, just all the way across the O line. We're too much for them, I think. So that's my take on the game.
Sure.
Randy Jacobs makes a good point. It's a good game to play ball control. If you don't let their offense have the ball, it's kind of hard for them to win.
Yep.
Well, they're losing time of possession too. I saw that one earlier.
Yep, I did see that as well. Just barely. I mean, barely.
Much,
but still, that's a good point. And opponents, I mean, they've been excellent on third downs. We missed this 53%, but opponents are also converting at 50%. So, I mean, it's really it's going to be an interesting game to see. I'm really curious. UNI always has a dominant, defensive line player, a dominant pass rusher somewhere along there. They don't have that. They didn't have that last year, and it didn't really matter. Their defense still found a way to slow down our offense, and it sounded like a bad day for our offense last year against UNI. We had a bunch of drops that game.
Yep.
So let's hope the team comes out focused and just ready to take care of business in this one.
Yeah, don't let this be the game we trip up like we normally do.
I did. Should I print a picture of you for us to put on our bulletin board? I'll just do that right now.
Gosh.
You mentioned special teams, and it doesn't look like they've had any real explosive returns or anything. So I think this is I don't know, call it a get right game. That's a little derivative, but I think that we could really shut them down in the special teams game, take care of the ball, and win that phase.
Yeah. And Scott, the offensive line has definitely come together and playing well as a unit. You definitely, I'm super happy we were able to rest Isaiah the second half and even really rest Amar for the fourth quarter too. Angel and Josh took a lot of carries even in the third. So I'm excited that we have two fresh backs, an offensive line that is just clicking right now. Mm-hmm. And I'm curious about the UNI-Dome. Again, don't want to give bulletin board
still
material.
Have that stain on the carpet?
Yeah, right. Not that. But they have.
I mean, they had a really big dog in there, and it's hard to get those out.
They've struggled with attendance this year, and their attendance has not been good. It's been almost as bad as USD's. So I'm just really interested to see if their fans show up with the number one team in the country in the house. I'm assuming
and here they are fighting for their playoff lives, right? So once again, we always get them when they're at backs against the wall.
It's backs against the wall, and they've won 3 straight. So you try to put your mind inside that locker room.
Yep.
And what that feels like is, all right, we struggled early, we're getting it together. We found a way to win last week. I mean, I'm guaranteed they think they can do absolutely anything right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a dangerous place to be.
Yeah. And really, it kind of started, right? They did lose to Illinois State after Indiana State. Then they got right with with Utah Tech, Missouri State, Southern Illinois. They played a close game. So, they really stubbed their toe against Illinois State. So that's interesting. But they've lost to Sac State. They lost to Air Force, and they lost to North Dakota in the second week of the season. So I don't know how much we can glean from that matchup at all. So we'll see. I think at this point, as long as I get the thumbs up from my wife, I'm planning on going. So nice. I'm excited for that with Rick Jensen. So yeah, cool. Very excited for that.
Garrett Myers says he's going. I'm really hoping I can make it. I've got a work thing that I should do, but I think I'm going to go down to the game too.
You've done enough work stuff this fall, Dallas.
Oh my God.
So Halloween is tomorrow. You're free.
Well.
You're free.
I just worked for 3 months straight.
Yeah.
And I'm really not exaggerating.
Is there anyone from Sioux Falls going that Chad can go with? Let's ride share.
Yeah. I'm a good time. I got plenty of whiskey.
All right.
Oh, wait, that's not for the ride. That's once you get there.
Hey, bring some of that maple stuff and when we meet up. That was so good.
Praline pecan you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Are we tailgating or hitting a bar if we make it? I don't know what the weather's going to be like.
Tailgating there's usually pretty decent. I don't know. We usually trunk gate and then hit up the parent tailgate when we go down there.
Oh, yeah,
That could be
smart.
fun.
Oh yeah.
And last time I've told this story a bunch, but last time I was there was the conference championship winning game, and everybody was down on the field afterwards. And man, I had a really good time.
Yeah, the Kellen Sulik pick, right?
I was sitting next to Solik's dad, and he runs back the pick, and his dad's just streaming tears down his face. God, it was such a cool moment.
It was glorious. It was glorious. I was there for that one too.
Oh, were you really?
I thought he was going to run out of steam on that.
Oh, I think he tried. He was like, "Can I just stop now?" It was.
All right. So it says Saturday, high of 59, cloudy early with showers for the afternoon.
Bogus.
So
Bogus.
We'll see on that. That's all right. All right. Let's get some predictions going here. So I got a handy dandy tracker sheet, and I got to add Dallas now. So Dallas, since you're here, what's the score going to be?
All right, we're going straight to score here.
No, let's do offensive first. Let's do offensive.
Offensive. You know what? I want to go with Amar.
Okay.
He has been so much fun to watch, and just you can see the progression every single game. And I know that's not a new take. Lots of people are talking about that. I mean, he had a coming out game a few weeks ago, but just the way watching his cuts, seeing his vision, very difficult to tackle.
We were laughing at
Kellen
that.
is still out of breath.
You had your head down.
Okay, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Amar. Would love to see him just own this game because I think we're gonna win this one on the ground.
Nice. Chad?
I'd really like to see Landon Wolf have a breakout game.
Me too.
That's he's quick, man, and that might be what we need that we've been missing against them specifically. So
Okay. Unlike Dallas, I think we're going to pass for a bajillion yards in this game. So I'm taking Jackson.
Fair.
Yeah, we're going Jackson. All right. Defensively, then, this is going to be an interesting game. I honestly, with their secondary or with their passing offense, I just don't know. This week, Cale Reeder did not play again. I saw him on the sidelines. He was in good spirits, so hopefully he gets through concussion protocol. I'm assuming that's what happened based on how he was acting at UND. So we'll see on that. So I'm going with Kobe Herter. Kobe Herter going to get a couple interceptions. 2 interceptions, Kobe Herter.
I like that. Dallas, he's been playing his tail off. He's likely to get one if anybody does, but I think I'm going D-line on this one, and I'm going to go, for some reason, I'm feeling Reese Winkleman.
Nice. Always a safe choice.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he's a personal favorite of yours, Dallas.
Yeah, he is, 100%. I'm going to go with Savion Williamson. Honestly, no other reason than I just want to see him have a breakout game.
Hey, cool.
Nothing wrong with that.
All right. Cool. Chad, score.
Okay, is this where we get to talk about how we didn't get to a 50 Butterburger presented by Culver's the last 2 games?
Yeah.
Because I am telling you, we have been within a gnat's ass of a 50 Butterburger, and we still haven't got it. God damn it. Pardon my French. But I just...
How do you feel?
I mean, let's go for 2, shall we? Let's just do it. They can't stop. I don't know. Give 85 a jet sweep or something. Just let's get that Butterburger. This game,
give 85 a jet sweep.
Who's gonna tackle him? You want to tackle him? I gotta tackle that guy.
I ain't gonna tackle him. It took you a second, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
I like us in that 30 range for points on this game. I'm afraid to make that low of a guess, but because the past 2 games I've guessed lower and then we've been higher, which I guess maybe that's what I should do. Heck, I'll take 30-17 us.
Okay. Dallas, you want to go or want me to go?
I'll go 38-28. Good guys.
28. All right. I had written down before you guys even said it, 45-28. So yeah, 45-28.
I think they're going to score some points. That's I mean they've got good players. As much as I'd love to think we're going to pitch a shot on every game because our defense is all world, they're going to get theirs a little bit.
Yep. I think this is going to be an exciting game. I don't anticipate a blow up. Anticipate just a fun game, high scoring game. We'll see.
I fully expect this one to feel like a meat grinder into like the middle of the third.
Yeah. And I would feel better if we had Bach, just for his ability to cover all of the field. Same with Stallbird, his ability to cover all the field. So we'll see.
I mean, there's not a team that we've played that coach doesn't think's a good football team, and that's definitely true with this team. They are a good football team. They got a lot of players. They got scholarships too. They're going to score some points.
They have good players. Yep, definitely. All right. With that, I just want to say thank you again to our sponsors, Cottonwood Coffee, Drake's Place, Dakota Iron. Thank you for your sponsorship. Thank you, Culver's. Thank you, Shenanigans
Pub.
Yep. So thank you guys. We just really appreciate it. And thank you to everyone that's listening, subscribing, sharing.
Yep. Please hold on. I know we're trying to wrap here quick to be on time. I was going to go off on this rant earlier. Take a minute wherever you are, if you're listening to this and the podcast after the fact, like most folks, or if it's live, share on some sort of social media. We're trying to grow this thing. We've proven even on Twitter where we're fairly active that not everybody knows about us. So if you could just take a second, share the podcast, share the link on Facebook, YouTube, whatever it is you're doing.
Word of mouth.
Yeah, please.
Is a big thing.
Yep. And I did want to say thank you to whoever that guy was that stood up along the railing and was constantly on Midco that was wearing a Jackrabbit Illustrated hat. That was really cool. I got about a half dozen pictures of that, of people sending me screenshots of him. So whoever
if anybody
that is,
knows who it is, we'll buy him a beer, right?
Yeah. Thank you, whoever that is. Anything else, fellas?
Nope.
Just go big, go
Go
blue.
blue. Go
Jacks.
Jacks.